Hey guys, Dan Jerseth here, and I'm mic'd up today because I'm hyped up today, and I'm going to be talking about events and how to throw them, why to throw them, and anything that you should know. So events, why did I start throwing events? Years ago, I took a training in Minneapolis that changed my mind a lot about how to get clients. There's about 4 million ways to get clients, and there's 4 million ways to run your business. One of the ways I chose to run my business is to host multiple events throughout the year. So what I started doing is brainstorming around things that I like to do. What do I like to do? I like to party. I like to hang out with buddies. So what I did is I started having events where we would have, I think my first event, I had pizza, beer, wine, and mixed drinks. And I basically invited everybody over, and it was a Christmas event. So I had Santa Claus lined up, and everybody had drinks. They were jolly. They all intermingled with each other, and I had 115 people show up to my first event. So you can kind of tell how, if you have 115 people show up to an event, how those people are going to connect with each other, and you're going to almost create a little community within your database. And after that event, I was really unsure. I thought maybe 40 or 50 people would show up. I had 115 people and never looked back since then. Now, events have been a core part of how we run our business and how we continue to grow relationships with our clients, get referrals, repeat business. 65% of all of our business back in 2022 were from repeat clients or referrals directly from our database and the work that we put in through culturing that lead source. So that's huge, huge source of business for us. And a big part about it is, the purpose behind an event is, yes, to have the event and to kind of get face-to-face with people. The other huge part about it that people don't really think about is, even if people don't show up to your event, how many times do they see your name, your invitation, your phone call invitation, a text message to them, inviting them to an event that maybe they don't go to, but they've already gotten 5 or 6 inquiries or email blasts or whatever to invite them to something? What does that say to them when you're inviting them to something? It shows them that you care about them, you want to actually see them. You didn't just sell their home back in 2017 and you put them on some automated drip campaign that sends them a monthly home evaluation through Zillow. Like these things that are so very much common in the real estate industry. And if you're watching this, I'm sure you've been there at some point in time. I've been there where my marketing was so busy, where my marketing kind of just took a tank for a while and I didn't really do anything. And so yeah, just keeping in touch with your clients by sending them marketing pieces. What we've done now is we created a whole process around throwing events. So for example, we have a whole schedule on when the text messages goes out, when the email goes out, when a direct mail piece goes to their front door, when we call them. We're at the point where we have so many people in our database, we're calling them we're calling our entire database, so we can't just call every single person on 13 days out from the event because it's impossible to call all the people we have in our database. However, we're making sure we're calling those people throughout the process and letting them know, hey, keep an eye out for your email, keep an eye out for that direct mail. We're going to have a party here on December 13th of 2023. We're going to have an event here. So we're constantly keeping in contact with them. The whole purpose behind doing this is to obviously build that rapport with them, but it also gives us a very, very simple and easy opportunity to ask them if they do happen to have any real estate plans in the next few months. And it's a very easy conversation starter. Most of the time when I call somebody from my database, I rarely even necessarily talk about real estate, but I will easily, if I know that they're kind of on the cusp of moving somewhere or having a growing family, I'll easily ask them, hey, I see you're having another kid. You think you might upsize your house pretty soon? And gets them thinking, and again, concretes me as the real estate agent of choice when they do decide to make that switch. A couple pointers on events are, you do want to choose something that you like to do, number one. And number two, you want to choose a place or a location that's going to be able to host enough people. Those are pretty obvious points. Another really cool thing that we've done over the years is we've cost shared with our vendors. So we usually have between 10 to 15 sponsors, and those 10 to 15 sponsors help pay for pretty much the entire cost of the event. So a couple of years ago, we did an event we did actually a movie night, which actually wasn't. I'll tell you guys some things that I learned what not to do and what to do. Our first event was amazing. Pretty much all of the event was paid for by our sponsors, and we just asked for like $150 per person, and they literally paid for the event venue, the drinks, the pizza, the food, all the entertainment, all the stuff that goes into actually running a party, which I think that cost us like $1,200 to $1,500. And if you can guarantee that you're going to get enough people there, they're going to continue to want to sponsor your events. And we're now at a point where we've thrown enough events where people they like, oh, I definitely want to be a sponsor at this next event. And we've actually have people that will show up to our events and say, wow, this is a cool event. I actually have a side gig or I have a business, or my buddy has a business, and he would love to sponsor something like this, especially when they see that you have 12 or 15 sponsors already up on a board. People are actually reaching out to me now after 3 or 4 years of throwing these events. Something I've learned what not to do is you want to make these parties as engaging as possible and have it, have to have it kid friendly, obviously, because a lot of people have kids. That's something I easily forget because I don't have kids myself. So my brain just doesn't naturally go, oh, I got to make sure this is kid friendly. So I've had to remind myself, it needs to be kid friendly. I need to have something for kids to do there. And that way the adults with kids feel comfortable going. That way they don't have to entertain with their kids the whole time. They can kind of relax and just chill out a little bit more. The second thing is you have to make sure it's engaging for everybody who's there as well. The mistake I made a few years ago was it was a cool idea, but I had an outdoor movie theater set up, which was freaking awesome. I hired Rock and Roll to Go, and they came out, they inflated this, it was freaking huge, this massive projector TV screen, and they had a projector on the back that projected this movie onto this screen, right? I thought this is going to be cool. People are going to love to come to this. Well, people liked it. They showed up. But the problem was that once the movie started, everybody stopped talking. We quit talking to each other. There was no engagement. The movie was over. People left right away. And so it was kind of disappointing because I like to go to parties, and I like to engage with people. I like to talk, joke, do all the stuff that you like to do when you go to a party and engaging. And the movie was not engaging whatsoever. So lesson learned. You can learn from my mistake and make sure your party is engaging. Our last event is one of our most engaging parties we've ever done. We hosted it at Social Reboot downtown Eau Claire, which is an arcade bar for anybody who doesn't know the Eau Claire area or Social Reboot. The arcade bar, basically we expected about 140 people show up. So we got about 10 tokens per person who was going to show up, ready to go. And as people walked in, we'd give them game tokens so that they could actually go out and play games within the arcade area. And we had the whole basement of the place rented out to ourselves. So we had probably 50 different like old Atari and skee ball and Pac-Man games and all sorts of shooting games, all sorts of games that people could literally hook up to, start playing. And then we had our own private bar down there too with their own signature drinks. And one of the signature drinks was named after my dog. So it was very much private and exclusive. I'll talk about that a little bit more too. And it was very engaging. That was our best turned out event ever. And it started at 6 and it ended at 9. And people still were hanging out until 10 o'clock at night there. And we had to kick them out. And then we went downtown to do a little bit of bar hopping. That was super cool. One of my favorite events. I'm sure we're going to do something very similar to that in the future. What was the thing I was going to say? I totally forgot what I just mentioned I was going to say. Anyways, yeah, so the event, what was that? Anyways, the events, so definitely recommend hosting events. It's one of the easiest way to engage with people. Again, I probably, overwhelmed you by saying I had 150 or 115 people show up to my first event. If you have 20 people show up, that's fine. That's 20 more people that you're able to engage with, 20 people that you're able to talk with, and you probably actually have a little bit more of a one-on-one time with them rather than me trying to engage with 115 people is very difficult, and I wasn't able to talk to everybody. So having some extra backup there, I usually hire 2 or 3 of my friends. I pay them in beer and pizza to come and work the front desk for me. I always make sure I have a list of people so I can keep track of how many people are showing up, and then I very closely evaluate how the engagement at the event is doing so I can, make tweaks, pros and cons of my next event and make it better and better and better and better. And make sure all of your sponsors are allowed to come there. I usually like to have booths set up for all the sponsors so people can see, meet my business owner friends face to face and kind of get to know them a little bit more. It's a value add for my clients who show up, and it's a value add for my sponsors who end up paying $150 to $250 a piece too. So that's huge. The last event I didn't have any booth set up, but they were able to engage, and it was still very, very well laid out, where they had their logos on their shirts and everybody could see who they were.